it really stopped me in my tracks. My first thing was, how dare he? Doesn't he know that that's for old dead people? Who I don't know, right? I'm serious. Who had to go through about 10 years of being confirmed as a saint by the Pope. And here he is, I'm alive, and he's calling me a saint. I continued to listen, and of course, you know, even though I'd been in MCC for a couple of years, that really solidified me being with this denomination. But being referred to as a saint told me, my goodness, I am holy and sacred as well. I am holy and sacred as well. And no one may never know my name when I die, but I'm holy and sacred, and who I am matters. Who I am matters. And you know, when I look at, you know, the list of saints, if you will, a lot of them really in life weren't known. They really weren't. They really weren't. They didn't have titles. They rarely held office. But they believed in God with all of their heart and their mind and their souls. And I thought, I try really hard to believe in God with all my heart and my mind and my soul, and I try really hard to do the work that God has called me to do. Wow, I can be a saint too. And being referred to as a saint, by the way, makes you step up to it as well. It really made me step up to, okay, if I am, then I better act like one. Fast forward about 10, 15 years to the late 80s and early 90s. And then I began to realize more about what this day is about All Saints' Day. You know, that's when many of us here either went to, attended to, or presided over more funerals and memorials than we care to remember or dare to remember. I remember in the early 90s, I actually took a class on death and dying. I thought, I know this topic. You know, and the teacher was just dumbfounded when I was in my mid-30s or something like that, early 30s, and who have experienced dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens of deaths already. She was like, this is interesting, this is odd, because in her realm, she was a beautiful, fabulous woman who just didn't have the experience with losing that many people. And she said, wow, that really changes you, doesn't it? And I said, yeah, it does. It does. And you know, having that experience in my 20s and 30s of losing so many people, it did a lot of things, and not the least of which is it made me appreciate life in a way that I don't think I ever would. I don't think I ever would have if I didn't have to say goodbye to so many people. And that's why I think today is important. You know, it's no coincidence that in every culture and in every tradition, indigenous or organized, either whether it's an indigenous religion or if it is an organized religion that has come from different theologies and practices and beliefs, in every one of them there is an honoring of our dead. You know, as I said, All Hallows Eve, Samhain, called different names, but whether it was in Ireland or whether it is in Africa, whether it is in America, wherever it is, whether it is in Mexico, whether it is, you name it, there is some honoring of our dead. There is some honoring of our ancestors. And it's something that we're afraid of today, I believe. I really do think it's something that we have become afraid of, at least in culture as a whole. Maybe not necessarily in this church, because many have experienced death, but I still think that we're in this type of a mode with it. But with everything, I believe everything belongs in the realm of God, and I believe death belongs in the realm of God. I believe the conversation of death belongs in the realm of God, because only when we can embrace that death and not make fun of it or be scared of it or make weird movies about it or make a ton of money on talking to the dead about it, right? Not that I don't believe that can't happen, but I think there's a lot more charlatans there than, you know? I mean, we are fascinated by this topic. But we don't know what to do with this topic. And I believe that our faith, our Christian faith, brings us back into wholeness with death if we allow it to. Amen? If we allow it to. You know, a new heaven and a new earth. a new heaven and a new earth, because the one that was existing, we didn't work anymore. You know, friends, I believe that we are at a place to be able in our faith walk with God and with Jesus to re-embrace this conversation on death. And to be okay with claiming our saints. To be claiming our saints as a community. Because isn't a saint somebody who gives us hope? Isn't a saint someone who has shown us the way? Isn't a saint someone who has shown us that even in imperfection there is glory in God's presence? That's what All Saints is about. That is what the conversation about death is about, to appreciate life. You know, there are some in here who have relatives who are very close to death right now, and I know this. There are others of us who, you know, might be battling with different diseases that might take our life too young. Too young, in quotes. What's too young? What's too young? What's too old?